Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to step onto the ice for some biscuits and penalties. I'm your host,
Let's
Alex,
go!
and joining me tonight is Cobra and Ben. Say hi, both of you.
Hey,
Hi,
how
both
we
of you.
doing, guys?
Now, as we know, the playoffs are in full swing here as we're getting into games 3 and 4 most of these series, except for the Battle of Florida because they started their series late. So we're going to talk about some of the series tonight and some other news. How are you guys liking the playoffs so far as we are getting deeper into these series?
Well,
I haven't really been watching, but I've been paying attention to the standings.
I'll definitely say this. I was hoping that the Ottawa Senators would have more of a fight against the Toronto Maple Leafs. But unfortunately, the Maple Leafs are 3-0 right now. Unless a reverse sweep happens, we're not laughing at the Leafs until they blow the second round.
Yeah. They might not laugh yet. Who knows?
Definitely. Before we get into a little bit of the series, we're going to talk about Ovechkin again because he hit another milestone in his career the other night in game, I think 1 or 2 of the Canadiens Capital Series. He hit his first game-winning goal in overtime as the Caps look to add another Stanley Cup to the resume before Ovechkin eventually retires. What do you guys think about this milestone for Ovechkin as he caps off a great season, passing the record and getting his first overtime goal in his career?
In the playoffs.
In the
right?
playoffs. Yes, in the
Okay, I'm
playoffs.
about to say, I was like, not the first time ever, but yeah, okay. I guess that's a great feat. I don't know. That just caps off something else he's done now in the playoffs and in his career. He's definitely had a hell of a career. People are going to still say that, like the LeBron, Michael Jordan debate, they're still going to say probably Gretzky's better, which they're probably right because, he has the points and everything. But longevity-wise and staying with the same team and being consistent-wise and just not getting hurt, really. And he came back off of a leg injury and still finished, second in the league in scoring?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Look, the fact that Ovechkin hasn't had a game-winning playoff goal in his entire career up until this point just goes to show you what type of player he is. Ovechkin's always been a score first, ask questions later. He's never been the quote hero, if that makes sense. Unfortunately, that's why the Capitals always would lose to the fucking Penguins.
And not only that, he also had a great cast around him that also he was able to rely on. So that helps as well. So, his stats are hindered by great teammates around him and for the fact that he's not a puck hawk, unlike Gretzky. Let's be real.
Yeah,
definitely. But moving on from that, we're going to talk a little bit about the Oilers-Kings series. The Kings are up 2-1 against the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers have struggled in this series a lot. What do you guys think the Oilers need to do in Game 4 and 5? They're in Edmonton tomorrow and then in LA for Game 5 to bounce back and try to force a deep series with the Kings. The Kings seem to be on a roll in these games, playing tight, playing fast, and the Oilers cannot keep up with them.
Well, unfortunately, sometimes when it comes to hockey teams and momentum, the team that has the momentum usually is hard to stop. The goalie needs to bear down, and he needs to stop these goals, and the coach needs to get on the players' asses to get their rears in gear before their season comes to a complete crash.
You're on the right track there, Ben. The main problem with the Edmonton Oilers is in net. Stuart Skinner is not the guy. He is garbage. Last year he almost had the Canucks in the Stanley Cup final instead of the Oilers last year. Call a spade
I'm not
a spade.
too familiar.
Stuart Skinner is just not the greatest goalie in net. He is a backup at best. He is not shown that he is able to take that next step towards Vezina
Is
caliber.
Is he their main guy, or did somebody get injured?
He's their main guy. He's their main guy.
Yeah. Well,
And it is clear. It is clear that the Edmonton Oilers are all about, Connor McJesus, Leon Draisaitl and the others, when he can't even, he can't even stop a beach ball is how bad he is.
Well, actually, while we're on the subject of goalie, do we know what the statuses of the Caps goalie is? Because that's very important.
When I read it, Lindgren is ready to go if the Caps need it. I haven't heard any updates on his injury. When he went off the ice last night, it looked like he couldn't put pressure on one of his legs, so it might be a lower leg injury. But I have to look that up to have further research.
Although the Capitals
not.
do although the Capitals do have a competent backup in Logan Thompson,
They do.
No relation. No relation. But again, Logan Thompson is a great goalie. He was great in Vegas. So, it's not like they're doomed.
Did he helped Vegas win a Stanley, did he?
Yes. Yes. So again, you can't count them out. So Capitals fans, don't panic. You're still in it.
Definitely, and as I'm looking at the Oilers series, it feels like the Oilers are just leaning on Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, but it's not just them two playing this game. Skinner needs to step up and do this. Oh, they're going to lose the series pretty fast because the Kings seem to be unstoppable as they have done two great games on offense and clicking on defense enough that McDavid can't even stop them. McDavid tied the game in game, I think, 3. And then, like, seconds later, the Kings won 5-4 because they couldn't stop the Kings' offense. It is insane how bad the Oilers are on defense, that they just have to lean on their two best players, and they have to do everything. And it's not, you can't do that. The playoffs is an everybody thing. It's a we thing, not a two-people thing. It's like the Caps leaning on Ovechkin to do everything, and he can't do everything. He's one person. He's not the superhero that can do everything.
Well, that's how it was for a lot of years for the Caps for a little while because they didn't have anybody else around them. But then they finally got a supporting cast.
Definitely,
It's the power of hungry youth. It's the power of hungry youth. The Kings are young and hungry. Who's in net for the Kings? Who's in net? Darcy Kemper. Hello. That would explain a lot. Darcy Kemper. So yeah, that would definitely
Cup winner and brief Capitals goalie.
Yep, Darcy Kemper. Yeah, really. So the backup the Oilers bring out is Calvin Pickard. That's a name I ain't heard in a while. Ugh. Oof. Yeah, Edmonton, I think you're Edmonton, I think you're fucked. I think you're fucked.
The goose is gandered.
But on the topic of Canadian teams, we're going to get into the Battle of Ontario between the Leafs and the Senators. The Leafs are looking to sweep the Senators tonight as they are playing as we speak. The Senators are up 2-1 in the game tonight. What do you guys think the Senators need to do tonight to force a game 5? Because they cannot seem to click on offense, and then the Leafs just grind and pound them and not being able to stop them. So what do you guys think the Senators need to do tonight to force game 5 as they look to go back to
Aren't the Senators like one of the top teams? I can't remember.
No, they were wild card.
Oh, okay. No.
Leafs
I was
are top.
sure.
Yeah.
Leafs, I know they were like up there, but I wasn't sure about the Senators. Probably nothing if they're trash hot dude.
If Edmonton needs, not Edmonton, if Ottawa needs to survive, they need to solve, they need to figure out how to beat Anthony Stolarz. And I'm going to say this. It was a huge mistake for the Philadelphia Flyers to get rid of Anthony Stolarz when they had him.
The Flyers get rid of a lot of players.
Well, yeah. Well, they definitely had to get rid of famous women respecter Carter Hart, you know. So there's that. But yeah, Anthony Stolarz has definitely broken out into an elite goaltender. He was one of the biggest free agent steals this year. And for a team that had all the offense and none of the goaltending, the Maple Leafs definitely cashed in. But unfortunately, you're not making it past the second round. So
I do. Hmm?
go ahead.
I said Bazinga.
As in terms of this series, Ottawa just needs to find a rhythm on offense and find a way to save pucks because the Senators, because the Lewis Almark is a good goalie. He is a really good goalie. He did great in Boston, and
He was
unfortunately, we
great
all
in
know what
Buffalo.
Boston did.
He was
They
great in
got
Buffalo.
Yeah, he's great all over the place. But apparently, with this Maple Leafs team, he cannot stop the puck. They have dominated him inside the ice every single game. And this game, I'm watching a little bit of it before we got on here, but looking at this game, the Senators are actually quick in offense. They scored back-to-back goals, a breakaway goal. They have put the puck in the face of the Leafs goalie, and the Leafs goalie is struggling, but he's dominating right now. And the Senators need to keep this momentum going, or I'll say goodbye to the Senators as the Leafs will move on to wait the Battle of Florida because that's who they're playing. And like Cobra said, they may or may not lose to the Lightning or the Panthers in the second round because the Leafs tend to do that. They beat the Bruins and then lose in the second round. But who knows? This could be a different Leafs team this year. And Austin Matthews could be the savior Toronto's always wanted to bring a cup back to Canada since 1993 when the Montreal Canadiens won it all those years ago.
That is definitely an interesting factoid to reveal that the last time a Canadian team has won Lord Stanley's Cup, it was in 1993 when the Canadians beat the LA Kings. Who was on the Kings? Wayne Gretzky.
Bazinga.
And I'm pretty sure the Canadians are the only team that has won as many championships in the NHL. They have 24. They're looking for the 25th this year, which I don't even think was possible in hockey. But the Canadians were running the league in the 1950s and early 1960s that they have dominated so far. And recently,
Yeah.
Canadian teams haven't done that well in the playoffs, unless you're the Oilers, who almost
Who
came back against the Panthers.
who else is behind them? Is it closest behind them? Is it the Bruins or is it the Kings? Or is
I
it the
think
Red Wings? I know the Red Wings won some. I know the Bruins
I,
won a lot, and I know the Kings
I
won a lot.
think I think, don't quote me on this, I think it's the Leafs.
The Leafs.
Yeah. Who haven't won since 67.
Trying to see if I can get an accurate number here. Um, so the Red Wings are second to them. They've won 11 times in the Stanley Cup with 24 appearances. The Leafs are third, and then the Bruins are fourth with 6 and 20 appearances. Winning the last 19 for the Bruins. So it's been a long time for Canadian teams. Red Wings won in 09. And then obviously I think that was the last time or 08, one of the two. But yeah, so the top three teams are Montreal, Detroit, and Toronto in terms of active teams in the playoffs.
Yes.
Any other news you guys need to bring up before, or anything else we need to talk about?
Yeah, there we do definitely need to talk about something interesting that is going on right now. And that would be let's talk about the Canadians for a minute. There seems to be a bit of a culture shock over in Montreal. Like something is going on that definitely is not allowing them to succeed in the playoffs against the Capitals, other than the Capitals. But it just seems like there's a culture shift that's happening in Montreal, and something needs to change and adapt right now. Because if this keeps up, the Canadians aren't going to go far anyway.
Yeah.
Definitely good at that one. Montreal is trying to find their footing. Recently, they've been bottom of the barrel in the Atlantic Division or Metropolitan for the past 2 to 3 years. They haven't been able to get out of it, and they surged late in the season this year, barely getting into the playoffs because I think it was the Rangers that were on the tail end at the end of the season. They needed a couple things to happen, and the Rangers couldn't make it. That or it was the Canucks. I can't remember who was right on their tail at the end of the year. So this is a big year for Canada. They have, I think, 6 teams in the playoffs. All of them are looking to bring back the cup to Canada. I think some of them are looking for the first cup. I'm not exactly sure, but definitely a lot of history with Canada being able to sell in the playoffs and not bringing the cup back home. But because apparently the cup doesn't go to the team's facility, they get the names engraved and it goes back to its home. So it's not like the Super Bowl trophy when teams get the Super Bowl trophy and then they make a new one. The trophy stays in one spot.
So here's a question I've always wondered. Whatever happens when you run out of room on that damn thing? Do they make another one?
I hold up. I can actually answer that. Because they've actually had to do that. This is actually one of those years where Gordie Howe's name was removed from the Stanley Cup. They actually removed nameplates off the Stanley Cup, and it goes to the Hall of Fame. That's what happens.
That is interesting.
Yes. So to answer Ben's question, they simply remove they remove the names off the plates to get more room.
I've always wondered that.
Yeah. That's a very interesting factoid that a lot of people definitely don't know about.
And I'm pretty sure MLB teams, they keep the World Series trophy, don't they?
Yeah, because I think the trophy itself is pretty cheap.
Yeah,
I think of the trophies in professional sports, I want to say that the World Series trophy is the cheapest.
Yeah, and then you got the wrestling ones, which they don't keep the actual title belts either.
No,
they actually have replicas that they carry around most of the time, unless it's like for show, like they're doing it for an actual show or for like special cons.
Yes, it's one of those weird things. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else to add here, Alex.
Gotcha. Definitely an interesting factoid about the Stanley Cup trophy that I did not know because that trophy is a big trophy and is heavy.
30 pounds.
That should be a trivia question on the podcast at the end when you go to submit it.
Definitely one of the heaviest trophies in all of sports. Because I think the Super Bowl trophy is light. I think the World Series trophy is second to the Stanley Cup trophy. Because the NBA trophy is pretty small, so I think that's heavy, but definitely a heavy trophy that I will hopefully one day see in person, if that's in a museum or going to a Stanley Cup Finals game, which would be never because how expensive it is to go to games nowadays.
Yeah, we can do a trivia question in the comment thing on Spotify if you want.
All right, that's something we can do. Anywho, I would say that's it for our podcast. What'd you say, Alex?
That this episode is brought to you by W Energy. If you are a gamer in need of energy for your day, make sure you try W Energy. And if you do, make sure you use the link in our bio wherever you get your podcasts. I'd like to plug our other podcast, the Hard Count, our football podcast, with a special episode for the draft recap right after we wrap up on the ice tonight. The Dirt and Dirt podcast, our baseball podcast, where we talk all things baseball, regular season and postseason, but that's too early to say that, but definitely tune into that. The Lap Down, a NASCAR podcast, hosted by Greg and among others, when they talk all things NASCAR and other races. And the Social Slam podcast that is coming back tomorrow night for a WrestleMania 41 recap with surprises and much more as the fallout to Mania happens. As we get ready for Backlash, which is, I believe, May 10th, 2 weeks from now. And a returning podcast, the Social Sports Network, with Tyler is passing the pitch game for college football when he talks all things college football as we gear up for the start of preseason and college football as the draft wraps up tonight. We're on Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok forever long that lasts for because the government sucks.
Yeah, yes.
And wherever you get your podcasts from. Unfortunately, we had to step off the ice because I see the Zamboni. And we'll see you guys next week when hopefully we're going to talk about the Sens avoiding the sweep of the Maple Leafs and other hockey news as we get deeper into the playoffs. And we will see you guys next week. Anything else you guys want to add before I sign off you?
Yeah. Definitely. See y'all tomorrow. See y'all next week.
Don't dig a hole in the ice.
And with that being good night
Never
and goodbye, everybody.
sneeze. Don't freeze my asshole shut. See ya.